Mynoo Maryel will share the 7 pros and cons of balance versus harmony. She'll show us how to find balance, and that will keep us, well, here's the thing. Trying to find balance keeps us out of balance versus being in harmony. And I just went, wow, that's a big aha. So she's going to show us how to find balance in a different way, because you don't have to go and look for it. Harmony, on the other hand, regenerates, amplifies, and multiplies harmony in all areas of your life. And if you're like me, I'm constantly on that tightrope and trying to find balance. But yeah, we're in for a treat to find out a different way. She's going to guide us on how we can transmute our quest for balance and be in a state of perpetual harmony. Wow, doesn't that sound delightful? And then what impact this will have and how you can stay on track in this harmonious way. So thank you all for joining us. It's always, like I said, a pleasure. We're coming up on our Thanksgiving coming up soon. And what a time to give such gratitude for this work that Mynoo brings forth every Thursday evening, and for yourselves. Thank you for being here. And with that, I want to get right over to it, because I know I'm so curious about this difference and this pearl of wisdom, balance versus harmony. So thank you all for being here, and thank you, Mynoo.
Thank you, Catherine. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, to have a pearl of wisdom, which is this versus that, But I have, as you know, I sometimes do work with people personally, and there's a body of work that I do very selectively, called embodied enlightenment for certain people that are absolutely ready to experience an ongoing flow of enlightenment whilst being in this body, whilst experiencing and doing whatever is required, living their life day to day. And in that process, what became very clear to me is that most of us are on a perpetual balancing act. It may be to do with communications, it may be to do with the kind of work we do, it may be to do with just juggling multiple balls in the air. It's as if, there used to be this plaything in children's playground, a seesaw, where the 2 kids sat on either side, and you're sort of going up and down like this. So you can imagine as if you're standing in the middle of the seesaw, and you've got your legs slightly stretched like this, and you're attempting to balance it all the time, all the time. And it literally is, it's like balance is something which has a full spectrum impact. When you're when you're taking on balancing, finding balance in work and life, finding balance in, what I want and what he wants or what she wants, finding balance in just working with 2 of your children or your siblings, or it could be anything, finding balance in terms of how you spread your time or how you spread yourself. You're actually in that balancing act, and that is the only act. I mean, you are so out of balance, and you can think about the B words and this and that, but it'll only be, it like disappears just like that. And you're in a state of constant doing, to such an extent that you don't even have the space to even think about the do-rays. You're just doing. And we don't only do one thing, we engage in doing many things. And so many of us are working on uplifting ourselves. So now finding a balance in, the spiritual upliftment or personal transformation and what is needed in, on the ground. So we add balance there also. Keeps us out of balance. It is it's as if we have got something that is almost like, it's like a perpetual leak in our energy tap, of our vitality tap, of our life force tap, attempting to balance. And it can only be an attempt because you actually don't find balance. Because you are so out of balance. And when you are in the space of balancing, I mean, the balancing act is the right one, because all you're doing is acting, getting more and more disconnected from what it is that you are here to cause and make happen. So at a physical level, it is actually quite uncomfortable at times. There are momentary wins, and then you focus your attention on somewhere else where you want to find balance. We had a whole session on this balance versus harmony, on this embodied enlightenment work that I've been doing. And when people engage with just 1 week of balance, chests were choking, coughs developed that just couldn't go away, couldn't stop tearing. It's like when they've really focused on the extent to which balance is being acted upon by them, they became so aware of how much effort. But this is the good news about understanding this whole balance piece, that it takes a lot of effort to create balance. When something takes a lot of effort, it's really not meant to be. So actually, life's meant to be easy. It's not meant to be about balancing anything. What does a tree go about balancing? Nothing. It's in okayness, that's it. If you have a pet, a dog, what is the dog balancing? Oh no, it's just true to what its true nature is. That of just sharing, embodying love. It doesn't balance between, 2 owners. It doesn't do any of that. And yet, what I found was there are certain energy depleters, like, little leaks in our perfectly created plumbing system by our creator that humans have introduced and then forgotten about them. So it just keeps going. So we never get to the state of this complete ownership of the power that we are. I'm not saying the power that we have, the power that we are. And the balancing act is one of those. So the good news here is that you actually don't need to balance anything. I mean, when everything exists in perfect harmony, harmony doesn't mean that, and you find it actually, if any of you have ever engaged in permaculture type of farming, and I know it's not an everyday thing, but many of you have gone for a walk in the jungle. That is permaculture in action. That is permaculture farming equivalent, but at a magnified scale. Everything is in harmony. Is everything perfect? No, filled with imperfections. But when you are in a state of harmony, then it's okay. It's imperfection. You embrace the imperfection. Now, when you're attempting to balance and you notice imperfection in one area and it doesn't exist in another, you feel there is something for you to do. Well, what's there for you to do? And then we start fixing things outside of us. But really, nobody requires any fixing. I was a master fixer, actually. If somebody, and I was like, in college and school, I was like a high performer, so very studious, super boring child. But I achieved the grades. And I have to say, I was in harmony with my intention that I'm going to achieve these grades. So, everything went in that direction. So at that point, there was no finding balance or anything. It was very clear what I was doing was I was going to achieve the grades. That was a big tick in the box that I was going to have. Then as I became older, and I had my first, found my first love, and then it was the balancing act came in. I had to get the grades, and I also had to, you see, balancing act brings in the had tos, the need to, the should, then should nots. So suddenly I'm now loading myself with all of these things which are external to me. And I started getting disconnected with what it is that I truly want. So sure, I had the love of my life there with me, and I was engaged in this balancing act. Grade and, being in love and doing whatever you do when you are in love. And then everything was like dissatisfied. And bull force kicked in. Because the grades, I was like, it was expected of me. So I had to achieve the grades. And it was not expected of me to be someone who's gallivanting around being in love. So that had to be managed very secretively. So you can imagine the person that I'm in love with feeling quite disconnected because I'm like, creating a shroud around him. So the times that we could have together, there were only few and far between where we could really be unleashed. No, and that's the foundation of a relationship, which is a balancing act. My God, so out of balance. And looking for solutions outside of me. And that is the start of getting disconnected from who I truly am. And that's what happens. When I say balance gets you out of balance, it is the foremost killer of harmony. I just thought, well, let's understand a little deeper what balance actually is. So, I always go for the dictionary definition of these things because, you get a pretty good sense of what it is. So balance is an even distribution of weight, enabling someone or something to remain upright and steady. A situation in which different elements are equal or in correct proportions. So you are attempting to find balance. I mean, for a long time, those of you who've done a lot of work with me, I always say this work-life balance thing is what keeps work and home life out of balance. Well, can you imagine, different elements are in equal or correct proportions? Well, it's not going to be that way. And you're the one that is responsible to ensure that you remain upright and steady in amidst all of these changing things that are taking place. I mean, it made me realize how powerful and strong this human body is, and this human form is, this human mental, intellectual capacity is. Because balance, this is the good thing. Balance actually really activates you in a full spectrum way because you require all that power to remain upright and steady yourself and then juggle and manage all of these other things going on around you to keep them upright and steady. Make sure that all these different elements are in equal or correct proportions. I mean, really, we ought to award ourselves. Each one of us, it doesn't matter. This act of balance is another one, which is same across all classes, all cultures, all ages, never goes away. Never goes away. Whilst your conscious awareness is there, you are playing the balancing act. Now, as a matter of choice, let's look at what harmony is. Harmony is a combination of simultaneously sounding notes, musical notes. We usually use it to produce a pleasing effect. Collaborative co-creation of coexistence to produce a pleasing effect. There's nothing external about it. And you can completely notice where there is harmony in an environment outside of you. And it brings harmony within you. So you can choose, right, I'm stepping off the seesaw. This planet is not a seesaw. It hasn't presented us with that. We stepped on it, I guess, just to feel important and more superior to other living things on this planet, maybe. Or why else would one get into this balancing act? And you start noticing harmony is all around us. All around us. I mean, this palm right behind me, oh yeah, it's touching my hair and it's a little bit squinted, but it's in complete harmony. So there is no neediness. There is no zapping of life force. There is simply a space of sharing. The great thing about harmony is that, you can begin with you. And when you are in a state of harmony, like literally, it's a deep exhale is what happens first. Like Catherine said, just that first line that I talked about, I show you how finding balance keeps you out of balance and is a killer of harmony. And that was like a deep exhale. Okay, I don't need to be balancing things. Now you can enter a state of harmony. And when I did the harmony thing, the first thing I always do, as you by now, most of you are veterans here, I always say to you, begin with you, because your world begins with you, it ends with you. So you always begin with you. So when I went into harmony, I realized I couldn't possibly exist here if my body was wanting to balance various things, if my heart was playing a balancing act, or my liver was balancing stuff. We wouldn't exist. So harmony as a vibration, exists at a cellular memory. It is actually quite natural for us to enter the state of harmony, where a combination of simultaneously operating systems and organs come together to produce a pleasing effect. Where this goes off is when we are consciously pulling in the direction of balance. Do you get what I'm saying here? Now, there's one other thing that I talk about. I haven't even started talking about the 7. So we are in amidst the 7 things. I always say, if you want something, just whatever you give energy to is what you get more of. So whilst we are engaged in the balancing act, your focus, what are you giving energy to? Everything is out of balance. You have to step in and balance things. So what are you keeping in place? Out of balance. Out of balance is multiplied, and there's a disconnect from harmony altogether, whereas harmony is actually the natural state. So when I say you go into, when you go for a walk into a forest, which is just like a naturally occurring, it could even just be bushland, whatever it is, where plants have grown in their own way. and there isn't human intervention there, you notice everything is in perfect harmony. You notice the imperfections as signs of beauty. And they, in fact, invoke a natural wonderment. Now, that's what is happening. That is what harmony enables. So if you are in a state of harmony yourself, it becomes so much easier to live a full spectrum life because there's nothing to balance. Balancing my physical and my mental needs, balancing my social dynamics with, connection to spirit. No one is satisfied. You're exhausted. Life force is being depleted, left, right, and center from anything that you're looking to balance. So to get into a state of harmony, you focus on you, knowing that your natural state is one of harmony. Balancing the foods you eat, it becomes another act, another thing to balance. Having harmony on a plate. Foods of the season, that's harmony. Not having to plump up tomatoes with artificial stuff. It's not necessary. I mean, we can just really go down this route deeper and deeper. Let's look at, so I've talked about balance, I've talked about harmony in the context of pros and cons. I'm picking up each of these and highlighting the pros and cons. You'll make your choice for you. The third one that I want to talk about is it's a word called halcyon, Halcyon. I mean, we're going deeper into the pros of choosing harmony. And when I talk about the pro, you can automatically understand the con on the other side. So when you're striving for balance, this is not available to you. Halcyon is not available for you. What is that? It's peaceful. What does it actually mean? It's peaceful. It's calm. It's tranquil, serene, happy, prosperous, golden. I mean, just that statement itself, just the way Catherine expressed it, balance is what takes you out of balance is the biggest killer of harmony. It was like she was in this space where it was a shock. And then she entered the space of, okay, there is another way. When you are engaged in harmony, you can only engage in harmony being in harmony. And sometimes it can take a while to get there. So you find stuff. It could be a piece of music. It could be, just observing flowers and experiencing the Fibonacci sequence in how the petals are arranged, how the leaves are arranged, to find harmony there so that you can connect to harmony within. The moment you do that, halcyon, peaceful, calm, tranquil, serene, happy, prosperous, golden kicks in immediately. The moment you go into, I've got to balance these emotions right now, it's gone. You're not calm anymore. Tranquil, what's that? So it was so exciting to know that, okay, it's meant to be this way. Because that's how it is in nature. I mean, you have a forest and trees are being felled in that forest. Are the trees are panicking? Are they trying to find balance? No. They remain in harmony. Okay, and they do communicate vibrationally. Trees communicate vibrationally. Some people actually hear the sounds of it. And there are the tree orchestras and forest orchestras where there's lots of that kind of stuff on the internet where, instruments have been connected to the trees and you hear the sounds that they're making, musical notes that are coming out of those trees. So there's definite communication taking place. I think the gift of winter, Delhi winter coming in. I'll get rid of this in a couple of days. So what I wanted to say here is this point about trees are not going into a panic about it. They're not attempting to balance what occurs. Okay, the forest is being felled, humans have come in. Trees are connected all over the world. They activate their connections either through the root systems or through spores of fungi. So the circle of connection across trees does not change. There's a very interesting experience shared by my sister, my youngest sister. And there's a particular point where, she's very deeply spiritual and felt that she had to, doing the balancing act, she had to work and earn money because that was necessary. There was a need to do that. So one of the things that she was engaged in was mining. And there was one particular project in the process of a mining trip to one of the African countries. She was presented a teak forest as a part of a trade, So it was like a phenomenal deal. There was a buyer for the forest. Gives me the cringe even talking about it, but I just want to illustrate this. So she was like, can't believe it. This is going to be amazing. I actually can stop doing this and focus my attention on spirituality if I actually go ahead and conclude this deal. At this point, I'm in Bali, so I'm like, getting into the spiritual stuff more and more. So I said to her, I really would like you to get on a plane and go to the forest and see just feel it. If you feel that the forest actually wants to be sold, then go ahead, the deal will conclude. If you don't feel it, the deal will not conclude. You'll be running around in circles. She was a little upset about that, but she did it. And she said to me, she could not even enter the forest. The whole battalion arrived, supported by politicians and security guards and all sorts of stuff. And the moment she started entering, she started vomiting, projectile vomiting, and became so ill, like the stomach wasn't cramping, none of that was happening, but she just couldn't stop vomiting. And she just had to sit down for quite a long, for over an hour or so, she said, and just felt timeless. She felt very held, not by humans, because they were all panicking that, she's not getting up and moving and she's the one who's going to make the decision. But she could not move. And in the end, they took her away. So the message to her was very clear that the trees were they were not attempting to balance anything. They just communicated. And she decided she wasn't going to balance anything. She just wasn't going to do it. And I'm only saying this because humans, on the other hand, if something is being taken away, be it something very, very small, even, because we are engaged in the balancing act, it becomes such an explosive zapper of gratitude. Therefore, peace of mind is gone. Conflict multiplies. And it's a chain reaction, more destructive than an atomic bomb, attempting to maintain this balancing act. Harmony, on the other hand, halcyon, peaceful, calm, tranquil. And you can begin from there. The fourth very powerful pro of harmony is encapsulated in the word hail. Hail and hearty, you say. But hail is healthy, it's sound, it's robust. And if you look at, forests or trees, you totally see that. There is an effect that people who are in harmony have. It's as if they're strong at their core. I certainly find, because I chose to move from balance into harmony, and I worked it for years in Bali even, and I've continued to ever since when I first was guided to come back into mainstream world again, thinking I'd retired from Bali and I'd come out of retirement. This was the area that I really had to focus my attention on. Ensure I don't attempt to balance things, but let me keep my focus on harmony. And you know what happens because we do the balancing act? We're like, I'm just harmonizing all of this. You don't need to harmonize. You choose harmony, and there is a way in which you express yourself where things do fall in place. And hail, referring to health, the robustness of this human body that has been created. It is a natural state of harmony, which is so ingrained in this human body that even if one or two of our organs are having to be removed, the body doesn't collapse into a heap. There are other parts that come together to support the body to carry on. Hail is the innate vibe of harmony. Hail means healthy, sound, robust. So it's really important to anchor that you already have dollops and dollops and dollops of the experience of harmony that you're engaged in almost every day. Whilst you may be attempting the balancing act and you're engaged in that all the time, you're only here continuing to not just survive, but there are aspects of you that are even thriving because harmony does exist. At a cellular level, it is there. So with hail is where I first did the whole lay of the land. And looked at where I experienced this sense of harmony in my physical body. And remember, I was doing this at a time where I had first gone to Bali with a whole collection of ailments or illnesses and chronic conditions. So easy to be sucked into all of these things that are a problem with me, attempting the balancing act, versus looking at where am I? Hail. Physically. Now, remember, the power lies, when you use the tool of acknowledgement, the power lies in acknowledgement. Acknowledging where I was experiencing this hail experience physically, I was actually really boosting those cells and those organs to return to their originating intent and start operating exactly as they were meant to. So then I go into mentally. Where am I hail? And mentally is intellectual. It's about the intellect, your thoughts, all those things. Emotionally, where am I hail? I mean, for the longest time, at least when I was doing this exercise, I was still learning to reconnect with my emotions because I'd allowed myself to become quite, like really hard and not necessarily feel anything. Spiritually, where am I here? How often am I able to really express the full spiritedness of me? What is the recovery time from feeling down to actually reconnecting to the spirit of me? Social dynamics. Which are the social dynamics which are here? Healthy, sound, and robust. And I had many that weren't. But acknowledging those that were kept boosting my state of harmony. And then I went into the environment. And it was this exercise actually that made me choose the place that I finally went to live in Bali. The one that, Catherine, you introduced me to them. And it was way bigger than I would normally have taken just for me. But as an environment, I realized that there was a lot that was missing in my environment. I had to go out to experience the magic of Bali, and I didn't need to do that. That's where you do the lay of the land. Now, once you've acknowledged that, okay, harmony actually exists, it's alive, it's kicking, you can now use harmony as your guide in how you choose to live your life. And aliveness is an immediate consequence of that. And then you're fulfilling the purpose of life. You're in deeper harmony still. But when we are living our life, balancing, whilst you may feel that I'm working really, really hard. I used to say this all the time, and I see people saying it. Like, it's all about just hard work. Well, the hard work that you're doing really is the balancing part. When you get into a state of harmony, you actually can achieve the results that you were using as a way of justifying working hard. I mean, this was Catherine's favorite phrase, right? Working very, 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 very hard. You would, right? If your life force is depleted. Hail disappears really in working hard. We're not meant to. We're meant to be in flow, and you can work it. Doesn't have to be hard work. Working hard is not a way of, feeling fulfilled. It's actually, creating, co-creating even. The end result is what gives you a sense of accomplishment, and fulfillment comes from harmony. Success. Yes, balance requires that success. Fulfillment, there's a harmonious feel to it. You can have success and have no fulfillment. I had that for decades. That's what I mean by balance takes you out of balance. You can have success and no fulfillment. The fifth one, it's a pro, and then it has its con on the other side. is hallowed. Hallowed is sacred. HALLOWED. Hallowed is sacred. It's holy. It's sacrosanct. Harmony feels that way. You know, when you go into a forest, or you go into a temple, that not all temples give you that feeling of sacredness. You can even step into a home and you feel it, where there is harmony. And there are many, many, many things available to us to transform an environment into a haloed one. Balancing act, you are disconnected from the sacredness of everything, really. Because you've taken on that I am the one that's going to do it. But hey, where did you come from? What about the power of the creator that formed you? You don't have the capacity or the space to access that even. And no time to deal with that kind of stuff. When you're in a state of harmony, you actually can be in this powerful vibration of that feels sacred. The rush energy disappears. You actually can step into creation. And when you step into creation, it is a natural co-creation. Because even if it's only you who's doing it, look at all these different organs and all the different beings that make up you. You're naturally co-creating. When you're in a state of harmony, you're not battling with yourself. Battles outside are only an indication of battling that's going on within. Battling that happens within when you are only focused on the balancing act. Hence, when we did this work in our embodied enlightenment group, people were experiencing constrictions and a variety of physical ailments. And they were doing this anyway. They just focused their attention on where am I doing the balancing act versus where the harmony exists. But by just literally, couple of days of balance, conscious awareness of balancing that they were engaged in, created this immediate impact. So you can imagine what's happening within our physical, mental bodies when we are engaged in balancing versus harmony. We are a sacred temple. And we've heard this, your body is your temple. Well, it's not said flippantly. And the temple part is really coming from the harmony, the harmoniousness that is natural to us. There's a sacrosanctness about our presence, which we become aware of when we are in the state of harmony. When you're in a state of harmony, it's like harmonization occurs all around you. And we have seen this when we are listening to music. If any of you heard an orchestra, Philharmonic Orchestra really brings it out, and you can listen to it online. It's like there they are. There's a harmonization of all these musical notes, creating this pleasing effect. And it continues and multiplies and regenerates. And a thriving experience occurs. When you're in the balancing state, you're barely surviving. There is no space to think about thriving. And that's the sacredness of harmony, which, I mean, it's really quite beautiful, this whole sacrosanct aspect. And when you focus that harmony on you, you develop that relationship to you. You don't have to go outside of you. You realize that you are the holy divine one. And it sort of sanctifies you. It gives you permission to focus your attention on you. And when you are in harmony, harmonization occurs naturally around you. The sixth one. I mean, the word that came through was handsome. Handsome is yes, there's something to do with looks. There's also it's like it's a handsome reward. So it's like there's a vibe of abundance to it. So sure, it's pleasing in appearance. It's fitting, it's ready, it's convenient, it's given freely. That is what harmony is. You know for yourself, when you're doing the balancing act, you know, the telltale signs of wrinkles on the forehead, you know, crow's feet around the eyes. I mean, you automatically, I mean, like you're doing the balancing act, of course, you're going to use whatever types of muscle formations that are needed so that you stay upright. But when you're in a state of harmony, you have a pleasing appearance instantly. Instantly. And you feel attractive. You feel appropriate. You feel fitting. You feel abundant. And it becomes very convenient to give and share freely. Doing a balancing act and engaged in giving. I mean, like, you know, how is that experience going to be? You're balancing away. There's no, and you keep giving, you're already depleted. The leak is on. You literally turn it on even more. The handsome pro is a very important pro of harmony, because it connects you to you, to the natural state of you. I mean, we're doing this Pearl of Wisdom as you engage with this. And this is a very useful lay of the land to do, the handsome lay of the land, the handsome audit. And it was a fun one to do, where I was acknowledging, you know, this pleasing in appearance and appropriate and fitting and ready. Like really, I was looking at all of those things, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially, and environmentally. Realizing so much of it already exists in harmony. I don't have to juggle anything. I just focus more on those areas and everything harmonizes by itself. That's the good news. I would say the handsome audit is a very powerful age reversal tool. You have a go at it, you know, take a before photograph of you. Jot down do an audit of what are you feeling? And then go for a handsome audit to find where you already have that connection to pleasing in appearance within you and through you. What's attractive, what's appropriate, what's fitting, what's ready already, what's convenient, what exists, where do you feel that you can be giving freely? It's a very beautiful one, and it's a handsome one, and has handsome rewards that literally continue to multiply. It's a very powerful, thriving strategy. Harmony that harmonizes naturally. I mean, that's like the natural state of harmony. You get into harmony. Don't attempt to harmonize, anybody else. Begin with you first. If you find that there are people in your field where there is harmony missing, before you go and address that, just know nothing shows up in your field if there isn't a match internally within you. Get into a state of harmony. If you feel that there is pressure, when you think about harmonizing something, you know you're not harmonizing, you're balancing. They're very, very different things, as you've heard me say. Balance and even distribution of weight, enabling someone or something to remain upright and steady, where different elements are equal or in correct proportions. Harmony, on the other hand, is a combination of simultaneously sounding notes to produce a pleasing effect. Very different. The seventh actually is a collection of cons, when you are in the state of balance. So balance actually keeps you backward looking, because it is ridden with have to, need to, should not, must. And where are these have to, need to, should nots coming from? From some experience that you've had in the past. So where are you going when you are attempting a balancing act? Where are you going thinking that you're working hard to move forward? You're only actually taking the forward backwards. Because you're coming from a backward looking understanding of the lay of the land. You're not even present. You're going to balance, how you communicate in this family so that we can actually, move forward with this project. Really? All you're doing is moving backwards. It's baleful, it's harmful, even threatening. Causes severe harm to you because you're just depleting your life force, left, right, and center. Oh, I did that wrong. Oh, I've got to go and, bring a bit more balance there. Seriously. Or to such an extent, it can even be, quite deadly. And that in itself, at best, keeps you in one place, most certainly, takes you back. And when you're doing the balancing act, it's banal, it's lacking in originality. So because, all you have to, you think you're being creative in finding balancing solutions, but because there is so much must do, have to, should nots, need to, that you are only informing yourself from what has occurred in the past. So the creator within you actually gets more and more stifled. I don't necessarily recommend doing a lay of the land. I did it out of curiosity when I looked at particular situations in my life where I was actively engaged in balancing. And saw what was occurring. And all of these three things were completely active. It's going backwards, not moving forward. And it was harming me, harming the project, harming the people that were part of it, sometimes even harming the environment. And it was lacking in originality. We had to work really hard for it. And everyone was working very, very hard. I mean, the interesting thing here, but this is a very interesting revelation. We often use money as a way of, balancing things. Pay someone more so that they feel that things are not out of balance and there's more harmony in the team. And literally, you take away any originality. I mean, that does not bring balance. Money, on the other hand, given that it is an energy force and a very powerful one, and it is all about, it's a gift given into our hands as humans to make this planet a place of pure love and joy. When you are in a state of harmony, and harmonization occurs, and you apply money to it as a gift from our creator to make this planet a place of pure love and joy, it multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. I talked about my younger sister and the teak forest. I mean, she has since moved and she's only focused on her spiritual journey, just really sharing what she's here to share. And in a matter of few months, she's opened an institute. She's got, like an academy. She's got 7 books that have come out. I mean, this all happened within months. She's traveling all over India and Singapore and stuff, and really funds are just flowing without her going and asking anyone for it. They're just flowing because she's engaged and she's in complete harmony within herself and spreading that harmonization by showing up in harmony, sharing what chooses to flow through her. It's a live example right there in front of my eyes of what's possible. And 2 years ago, she was doing a balancing act between her spirituality and work. It's available to all of us. Choose harmony and drop balance. Over to you, Catherine.
I was trying to get in my last notes. Oh, wow. This was really fun. I loved it. It was one of my favorites. And what a sense of relief that we don't have to work so very, very, very hard. Wow. And, that search, that looking for finding balance, actually, we don't even have to work at all. That's what I'm hearing. We can just choose to be in harmony. So I'm really delighted with that. I don't know about you guys, but I know we've all had that sense of being out of balance and, just not knowing quite what to do and the struggle to get back to it. And I'm like, what a relief. Now we can just be. As Mynoo always says, it's pretty cool. I wish I could impersonate you better, but I love that phrase. So it was a magical evening. Thank you so much for everyone to be here tonight with us. And just think about it this way. You have nothing to do, no homework at all. We just get to embrace harmony. And with that, thank you guys so much again. Really appreciate you. And we look forward to next Thursday right here. And good night to everyone watching on Facebook Live.
Thank you. Bye-bye.